Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is VideoGamezYo, professional Mortal Kombat player, Shao Kahn extraordinaire. You guys already know the drill. Today we're going to be coming at you with something a bit different than what you're probably used to with the character guides and how to play against guides. Today we're going to be doing a lab guide on how to use practice mode effectively, and really this is going to make you very, time efficient when using practice mode, because obviously it can be a bit daunting when you go into the lab and you're like, oh, what do I have to practice? How do I practice this? What tools can I use within practice mode to help me get better and to help me essentially achieve what I want to achieve as fast as possible? So today that's what we're going to be doing. Without further ado, let's get into this guide, shall we? Right, so to start, we're going to be going over the age-old question: what is labbing? I feel like this is pretty important just to start this guide off, and just to basically do this before doing anything else, just so that you guys know what essentially the term labbing is, because like I said in the intro, a lot of people don't understand it, but that is why I'm here to tell you guys. So labbing, in layman's terms, is essentially going into practice mode and learning how to counter different situations, and basically making sure that you are aware of, you're building your muscle memory and being aware of, okay, I've seen this is how I counter, right? So a very, very simple example, which I'll record now, is Sub-Zero doing an ice ball for me, like so. As a Scorpion player, I could either block this, or I could teleport this. That is a very simple version of what I'm explaining here. Obviously it goes way more in depth than that, but that is just a quintessential example of what labbing is. You find something that you are struggling with, whether it be zoning. In this case, Sub-Zero's ice ball is a very good example of that. Obviously it's not the best zoning tool in the game, but it is a projectile. So it requires the same counter if you're Scorpion than, let's say, a rock from Cetriel, or a heat missile from Jax, or a force ball from Johnny. They can all be teleported, right? So the point remains the same, which is why this was a good example. There are obviously other moves like slide and jumping and whatever, but we'll get into that, and we'll show you what tools are very good for doing those things. But at the end of the day, as simply as I can put it, labbing is just trying to build your own muscle memory and essentially fill the holes in your game by going into practice mode, learning how to counter things that you struggle with, and providing a good counter for them to the point that it actually makes your opponent not want to go for them anymore, and it actually makes it so that you can try and play your game a bit better, so that you're not held down by an oppressive tool that you wouldn't otherwise know how to counter if you didn't go into the lab. So yeah, that in simplest terms, that is how labbing would be explained.
Become DashFight supporter on Patreon. Gain ad-free browsing on our site. Click the link in the description.
Right, so this section is going to be short and sweet. I'm basically going to be explaining to you why would you want to go into the lab, and when you're in the lab, what are you going to be doing in here, and why are you going to be doing it? Because I feel like a lot of people go into practice mode not knowing why they've gone into practice mode, and it's not a good habit, because really you should go into practice mode knowing what you want to do, so that you come out having used your time efficiently and having more knowledge on the thing that you wanted to practice, right? Because if we apply this to a real life scenario, right, we have, let's say you're doing an exam, right, in biology, and you want to get better at biology. What are you going to do if you need to know more information? You're going to get a textbook and you're going to read about something that you don't get. So let's just say photosynthesis as an example, right? I did a biology degree, so I read plenty about photosynthesis. When I want to practice the subject, I would go to the textbook, go to photosynthesis, and read about photosynthesis, or watch videos on photosynthesis. I'm not going to go into the library, get my book out and read stuff that isn't about that, because that doesn't help me. It's the same as practice mode in a game. You go in, wanting to practice one thing, and you know what you want to practice, which I think is very important. Don't just go into practice mode and, you know, just sit here doing whatever, because that doesn't help you. You're going to want to come in and you're going to try and think, hey, what did I struggle with today? What really took me off guard? You know, what made me uncomfortable to deal with? And this may be a character, this may be a move, this may be whatever. It can be literally anything. You decide what that is. But make sure that you're coming in knowing what you want to practice and using the appropriate tools that I detailed beforehand to do that. You know, don't come in and try and do other things, because it realistically won't help you, and you'll come out not knowing anything more than you came in with, because you don't have a regimented style of practice. You want to make sure that you're always, you know, focused on what has made you uncomfortable in game, so that you can stop that, and then in the next game against that character or against that style or against whatever it is, you know how to counter it and you feel good about it, and you can just play the game. And then when something else comes up, you can learn to counter that, rinse, repeat until you're just very good and you know how to counter things really well, which is the point of practice mode, right? So that is really important. Lastly as well, I think it's key to understand that it's not always, you know, important. It's not always necessary, should I say, to you know, spend a long time in practice mode. Not at all. I think people come in and they go, oh, I need to be in here for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to try and learn something. No, you really don't. If you're time efficient and, like I say, you know what you're coming in to practice, you can be in practice mode for as little as 30 minutes, an hour. It depends on what you're doing. But if you want to practice a combo, let's say, and you only do that combo, let's say I'm struggling with Scorpion's combo this here and I'm missing the forward 3, like this, if I'm missing the timing, I would only practice this right here. So I practiced out here, I hit there. Okay, I missed it there, right, let's keep doing it. Okay, I hit it there, right, let's keep doing it. Okay, I hit it again, let's keep doing it. And if I'm getting confident with that, let's say I hit it 10 times in a row, then I'll continue with the next bit of the combo, which is 1, 1, 2. Oh, I hit it there. Okay, that's good. Okay, I missed it. Oh, we're going to go back to just the forward 3 by itself. Okay, we hit forward 3, you know. Make sure that you're just regimented, like I said before. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you're regimented. Make sure that you understand why you're here, and that will make you way more efficient in terms of getting where you want to be. So I think those 2 tips are essential when trying to go into practice mode and essentially achieve the results that you want. Okay, so now we're going to be going over some important tools that can be used within practice mode that can really help you recreate real game scenarios. And real game scenarios are obviously things that are going to make it easier for you to practice, because, you know, if I, you know, show you an example here of Sub-Zero backdashing twice and doing an ice ball, when is this ever going to happen, you know? Like, he's never just going to do that and make it really easy for me to teleport, is he? He's probably going to, you know, be, walking back and forth, you know, doing some pokes, and then, you know, trying doing that, and then an EX ice ball. So it's much easier, it's much easier said than done. Like, obviously, like there, I'm not going to teleport that, because he's going to try and make it unpredictable for me, real game scenario. But anyway, I digress. So the first tool I think is the most important in practice mode is the record tool, because like I said, this is what allows you to create real game scenarios. So for example, if I, let's say, record a combo here, record a Sub-Zero mix-up like that, and get hit. This is a real game scenario that you're going to be in. However, you can also record another option from this, like so. To go for the low option. So, and then you can choose the playback to be random and hidden. So you have no idea what option you're going to go for here, but you have to react accordingly. I guessed correctly there, but next time you might do the low. He did the low there. You know, it's a very, very good way of providing different options that you will not be able to necessarily react to all the time, but it trains your mind to know what to look for in terms of visual cues, so that you can try and block these mix-ups. Obviously, Sub-Zero's overhead and low mix-up is an example that is very hard to react to, but it can be, your mind can be trained to try and react to this better, because obviously it's a visual cue. It's 19 frames, which is barely on the cusp of reactable, non-reactable, right? So it's definitely possible, but this isn't the only example. It could be, you know, you're trying to react to a forward 4, which is reactable. Excuse me, I have hidden playback on. Like so. Like, can react to that. That's me not predicting that. Like, that's, you know, that's me waiting for the animation, and it's very slow. You can obviously punish it with a full combo, like so, but these are just a few examples, you know. The world is your oyster when it comes to this stuff. You can pretty much do whatever you want within the realms of this recording function. So that's why it's very, very important, if you want to get good and you want to learn how to use practice mode effectively, you're using this, because it's a very, very good tool for trying to get better and essentially just to recreate real game scenarios, which is the most important thing when it comes to getting better at fighting games in general. Another tool I think is also very important is the frame data. As you can see here, in the bottom left, I have my frame data. So if I set Sub-Zero to block, set it to stance hold, you'll see that it tells you the startup frames, the active frames. It'll also tell you the recovery frames, there's the 13 frames there. On block, it does not show you the recovery frames, it shows you the cancel advantage, which is essentially the same thing. And your block advantage and your hit advantage. So if he gets hit here, Sub-Zero, thank you. Hit advantage plus 17. So it basically shows you everything you're going to want to need to know in terms of your attacks. And this will happen for your strings, this will happen for like if you whiff buttons, it'll happen for, like I say, strings. So you should see there it's +2. The startup there is 16 frames, which shows you the startup of your second hit, not your first, because remember this was a 9-frame startup, but the second hit, 16 frame startup. So this pretty much shows you what your numbers are going to be in regards to your particular buttons and strings, even throws as well. Like it tells you the recovery there is 34 frames, which is actually quite long. But it is active for 2 frames, which is also not very long, but the startup is fast as 10 frames. Another example of this would be your standing jab, which is 7 frames. This would be, you know, this is the fastest button for most characters in the game. They're standing jab or they're down one, or standing one. And this will tell you pretty much what is in the realm of punishable and not punishable. So I'll give you an example. I'll put on Sub-Zero's frame data as well, just so that you guys can see this. But if I go to 1, 2, 4 here, if we look at Sub-Zero's frame data, -4. You see, you'll have seen it flash up there just a little bit. He's -4 after this string. So that means if my fastest attack is 7 frames, I'm not going to be able to punish this. No one is going to be able to punish this because no one has a 4-frame attack. 4 frames is extremely quick, right? So that tells me, yes, he's -4, and yes, my fastest attack is 7 frames, but I can still enforce my pressure with, let's say, a throw, because if my throw is 10 frames and he's -4, he has to do a perfectly timed 6-frame move to interrupt my throw. Or I could do a down 1, in which case it's uninterruptible, because if he's -4 and I do a 7-frame move, if we do 7 -4, he has to interrupt in 3 frames. But that is not possible because it's not a 3-frame move. So it's, you know, it's your turn guaranteed if you decide to go for a down 1. And there's obviously lots of mind games that go around this, you know, people going for down 1s and the opponent knowing that you're going to go for a down 1. So you going for something else. Mind games are endless here, but that's just fighting games, right? But if we go back on topic and we do something that's unsafe, so let's say we do forward 2, 4, which is Sub-Zero's overhead string, and we look at the frame data, -19. So if we go for our 7-frame jab, it should punish, right? There we go, it punishes. We can even go for something a bit slower than that, which is our forward 3. Scorpion's forward 3 is 13 frames, you can see there. And if I block this -19 string, I can get a forward 3 punish. So it's about knowing and understanding how the numbers work, which is what this frame advantage tool is really good at, because it shows you everything you need to know about attacks. Meaning you can learn what's punishable, you can learn what's safe, you can learn if something that you're doing has a lot of recovery, and, you know, if it's getting punished a lot in real games, because it has a lot of recovery, then you know, okay, maybe I should use this move less or throw this move out in its specific scenarios. And you can practice those specific scenarios in practice mode with this tool and with the recording tool, just to name two. Lastly, I think another really important tool in practice mode that you're going to want to use, and how you're going to use it, is the get up attack tool and the reversal tools. Now, I put these under the same category here because they are basically the same thing. One's on wake up and one's just as a reversal. But I think let's start with the get up mode. So you can pretty much set your opponent to do whatever you want on wake up. Throw, forward roll, back roll, up 3, up 2, and then a custom get up. But let's just say chilled heal, because that's Sub-Zero's quintessential, basic wake up option. Up 3. It's invincible, it does a little bit of damage, everyone has this. Let's just see, if we knock him down, he's going to do his wake up attack. Right, that's fine. We need, we need him to do that because we're going to try and counter it. How do we counter it? Well, if we look and we block, if we use the frame data tool, we see that he's -7, which is safe. I do have a 7 frame move, but as you can see, there is pushback, and there's also not just frame punishes in this game, which means if something is -7 and I use a 7 frame button, it will not punish him, but he will be forced to block it if I time it correctly, because they are the same frame value. However, if I flawless block it, you'll see I'm at +12 and he's at -12. So flawless blocking changes the properties of this up 3. So if I predict he's going to go for an up 3 here, I will flawless block and then punish accordingly, and then obviously go for a combo. That's the most damaging combo I can possibly go for, because he cannot break now as a result of using his defensive meter on that up 3. This is just but one example. Like I say, you can also do custom. So let's say your opponent is blocking a lot, right? We can record custom get up reversal, and we can record jump kick. So if we sweep right now, he's doing up 3. However, if we change our get up mode to custom get up, he should do a jump kick on wake up, like so. So let's say that you're doing a combo and your opponent is jumping a lot on wake up, and he jumps there, like so. How do we figure out a counter for this? Well, he's now jumping on wake up, so let's try and meaty with a poke, like so, Or let's try and meaty with a mid this time. Let's see if that works. See, there's a combo. We're going to try and meaty with forward 3. Oh, there we go. We get a relaunch into more damage. And that is just, again, but one example. But it's a very important thing to know, because if you're struggling with something in particular, this really helps in trying to get out of these, I'll call them flowchart habits, in that you'll see something or you'll do something yourself, and then something after that will happen because your opponent is in a very flowcharty mindset. Flowchart meaning they see one thing, respond with another thing at an almost guaranteed rate, because their muscle memory makes them think that they should do a move upon seeing another move, and they're not really thinking about it, right? Hence the word flowchart. It gets you out of that flowchart mindset, but it also makes you more responsive. Because if you, lab a specific situation like this one, you'll know, okay, I need to do this, but you'll also think about doing other things as a result of that working or not working, right? So we started with the down 3 on the wake up, which obviously got a launch, but then we moved on to forward 3, which makes the launch a lot easier and also does more damage and has more range. So that is something that it will make you, very aware of, and also it's very important, right? You're not going to want to counter one thing with another thing every time. You want to use as many tools as you can to counter one thing as possible to keep your opponent on their toes. The same thing goes for reversals, really. It's not really as in-depth, but I can show you. So if we turn off get up and we turn on reversal attack, we're going to make him reversal slide. So if we do this and then this, as you can see, back one is punishable if he does a reversal slide. Try that again. There you go. But if we do back one 4, it will interrupt him, for example, if he is mashing slide here in this specific situation. But if we do this, which is plus, just be quite difficult to test. There we go, so I can do that. plus, and then he goes for a reversal slide. You can learn how to counter that, or it just depends on what you want to do in a specific situation, because an opponent has done it in a real game, and you want to learn if things are easy to reverse or punish. So for example, I think a great example here is with Scorpion. Spear, right? It's punishable with a slide, but it's also punishable at range if we get him to stance hold. So we do a spear from here. As you can see, that's a very easy punish for Sub-Zero. Even at that distance, very easy punish, which can also lead into a crushing blow. So things like that are really easy to test with this. But I think those, in terms of tools, are the most important for practice mode, and I've detailed how to use them to try and make you guys have a better experience, and to also know what to lab and how to lab it with the appropriate tools in the practice mode, because there are some very good ones, as I've detailed. Alright everybody, that is going to be the end of today's guide. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section. I really enjoyed making this one, because I think this is a topic that people are not very informed on, just because it's not really explored in like tutorial modes in games or anything like that. Fighting games are a hard genre, and the way people get good at them is utilizing practice mode correctly, and I think this is a very important video to make for you guys, and I'm very glad I got to make it. So I appreciate DashFight for letting me do this for you. Speaking of DashFight, if you'd like to give them a follow on the socials and on the YouTube channel, all the links will be in the description as always, so thank you for doing that in advance, because I know you guys will. You're awesome. If you made it to the end, put hourglass in the comment section so I know you made it. But yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching everybody. I'll see you guys in the next guide. Take it easy and have a great day.